Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking, and as always before this video starts, I want to say thank you all who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal or Super Thanks. I really appreciate your financial help, so thank you friends and have a blessed day. Now today's video I will start with the Zaporozhian front and to be more specific, Orikhiv direction. Now you might have noticed that now this map has a first line of Russian defense, which will help us understand the general situation better. In the last few days, Ukrainian forces have launched several attacks in the direction of Robotine, as always to the north and northeast of it, where they are continuously attacked ever since they were able to do so, basically neglecting the entire left flank of the settlement, as well as attacking in the direction of the settlement of Robotine, which is located here. And as you can see, this is where the first line of Russian defense is located. As you remember, these Ukrainian attacks ended with a failure, and Russians had successfully counterattacked them here in this sector and returned several previously lost positions. Attacks in the direction of Robotine, however, continued, and none of them had achieved any success. In the last 24 hours, Ukrainians launched yet another unsuccessful attack here in the direction of Robotine, and as a result of that had suffered terrible losses, as you can see here on the video. This is a video of a Ukrainian column being spotted and destroyed on the spot. After this Ukrainian attack failed, Russians counterattacked and were able to recover some of the previously lost positions. So, as a result of this successful Russian counterattack, Russians were able to recover this much territory from the Ukrainian forces. So technically this is perhaps one or two line of trenches. While we still here, there is another video of destroyed Ukrainian equipment being abandoned on the fields of Zaporozhye, as you can see here on this video. Again, this is generally the reality of the situation on this front line. Ukrainians do not have an upper hand, and this small Russian counterattack in which they were able to recover some of the territories is a good sign of that. Then, while we here, let's quickly visit the situation around Pyatykhatky settlement. Fighting here significantly died down since I last time talked about it. Usually, from what I know, Ukrainians are launching limited attacks in attempt to find a weak spot within Russian defensive lines. However, as of right now, they are unable to do so. Then from here, let's move to the Vremivka tactical bridgehead. It would seem that Ukrainians were able to establish stronger control over Svatove-Kreminna village, and because of that, had a ability to launch assaults in the direction of the settlement of Urozhaine. In the last 24 hours, they have attacked from two directions, along this road from Blagodatne as well as across this river, in attempt to gain control over the settlement. Previously, they had ability to attack here as well, but they were counterattacked by the Russians and lost several positions in front of Urozhaine, which allowed Russians to secure this flank and force Ukrainians to attack only from two sides. Of course, with the fall of Staromayorsk, settlement of Urozhaine would be next logical step. However, it would seem Ukrainians were highly unprepared for that assault and that attack, and with a spectacular failure. For example, here you can see on this video a Ukrainian tank plunging itself into a river and sinking. As to how and why that happened, I'm not sure, but perhaps this could be a sign of panic and general disorder within Ukrainian troops on this front. As I speak, Urozhaine is still under Russian control, and Ukrainians have retreated back to their initial positions. Then from here, let's visit Bakhmut city. Interesting situation has also been developing here. Now first let's touch the southern flank. Despite all attempts of Ukrainians storming and capturing Klishevka, Andreevka, Zelenopilya and Kurdyumovka, as well as Ozornikivka, all these settlements at this point in time remain in Russian hands. Then of course there is a northern flank with the settlement of Berkhivka and Yagodne. Throughout last several months, Ukrainians were continuously attempting at penetrating Russian defensive lines in the direction of Berkhivka and Yagodne. In the last 24 hours, Ukrainians launched an unsuccessful attack in the direction of Berkhivka. Here you can see on this video Ukrainian column advancing in the direction of the settlement. However, it has been easily and quickly spotted by the Russians, and Russians unleashed the entire arsenal of what they have on this front. On the video, you can see several vehicles being hit. The reports from this front suggest that out of 5 vehicles that Ukrainians used in this assault, 4 were neither destroyed or damaged to a point where it could not be recovered. So, in conclusion, both attacks in the direction of Vremivka and Yagodne have failed. Then from here, let's move to the Svatove-Kreminna frontline. Situation in between Kreminna and Liman continues to be somewhat the same. Both Russians and Ukrainians are attacking and counter-attacking each other, with artillery duels and counter-battery activity taking place. Despite heavy fighting in the direction of Torske and Zarichne, as well as within Serebryansky forest, and in the direction of Terny and Yampalivka, both Russians and Ukrainians were unable to take any territories from each other. Then let's move to this sector right here, where, if you remember, Russians were able to establish a bridgehead to the other side of the river. Ukrainians and Russians were extremely active here on this front. For example, here Ukrainians were able to penetrate Russian defensive lines and advanced deeper in the territory between Karamazinikivka and Kovalivka, while Russians, on the other hand, were able to advance in the direction of the settlement of Novogorovka. Ukrainians did also launch several attempts at recapturing settlement of Nadia, as well as assaulting Russian positions in the direction of Sergeyevka and all across the front line. But as you can see, this is the only place where they were able to penetrate Russian defensive lines. Now, as you can see, a dangerous bridgehead had developed for the Ukrainian forces. If Ukrainian forces will continue to advance in this direction, they will end up in a semi-encirclement, and there is a risk of Russians counter-attacking and completing a pincer maneuver. Now, of course, the probability of that is extremely low. However, Ukrainians cannot afford to overextend and overstretch their defensive lines, and I'm sure that more attacks to the flanks of this bridgehead will occur in an attempt to even out the front line. Then from here, let's visit settlement of Novoselivske. It is now being fully confirmed that Russians have taken control over this settlement. Fighting for it wasn't easy. When Ukrainians realized that they are about to lose the settlement, they've sent several reinforcements in attempt to repel Russian attacks in the direction of the settlement. However, this was not enough. Russians entered the settlement, destroyed reinforcements that came to help, and not only gained control over the settlement, but also were able to spread zone of control around it, thus saving it from Ukrainian counterattack, at least for now. Now, there is a video on my Telegram channel which depicts Ukrainian attempt at reversing the outcome of the battle for this settlement. However, they came unprepared and were destroyed. Of course, I cannot show you this video, it shows dead people in it. So the link of my Telegram channel is in the description below. Also, it's going to be in the pinned comments. I will repost this video, so it will be the first one you will see. And at last, let's visit the Kupyansk frontline. Here is the city of Kupyansk, and this is Liman Pershi, which is used by the Russians as a supply hub, a stronghold, and a stage point of most of their attacks. Despite the fact that in the last 24 hours, Russians were attacking Ukrainian positions within this forested area, as well as in the direction of Sinikivka, Russians made some gains near the settlement of Vilshana, advancing ever slightly in the direction of Sinikivka. So as a result of a successful Russian attack, this is how much territory Russians were able to take from the Ukrainian side. So as you can see, it is an open field with a forest line that probably will serve as a first line of defense in front of Vilshana. Now, of course, there is a possibility that this Russian advance is a precursor of an assault in the direction of Sinikivka, this time from 3 directions: through the forest, from Liman Pershi, and from Vilshana, which of course will put Ukrainian forces within Sinikivka under immense stress, and they might just give in. If we zoom in a little, we can see that there is a road that Russians can use in attempt to advance in the direction of Sinikivka. So the more Russians advance around the settlement, the less likely Ukrainians will be able to hold this settlement. I will not jump into conclusions and say when the settlement will fall, but if the situation here continues and Ukrainians will not be able to reinforce this front line, we are sure to expect Russians advancing here yet again. So this is the end of the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please consider supporting it with a like, comment, and a subscription. All those actions not only help promote this video to a wider audience, thus spreading the message, but also helps me emotionally and psychologically and motivates me to work harder. Thank you, friends, in advance. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day, and always remember, Russia will be free and great.